And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 37 of the Sling'N podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Kent.
First of all, folks, I want to thank everybody who has been following us on our Facebook page. We have just broken the 220 follower mark on Facebook. We really appreciate the patronage and the support. Please stay tuned. We are working on a way to broadcast this show not only on YouTube, but we will simulcast onto Facebook Live as well. So for those of you that are hearing the sound of my voice, perhaps it's on your favorite podcast player, and you just so happen to be one of those people that doesn't like using YouTube, rest assured we will be reaching out to you on Facebook. So stay tuned for more on that. But Kent, you've had a busy weekend. What's going on with you, man?
Every time I host a gun class, it snows or rains or dinosaurs come. Two of those three things are true. So we had Jedi come down, MSP 2-day red dot pistol class, to an undisclosed location in an undisclosed state that we were totally allowed to have a gathering, and absolutely 100% not violating any stay-at-home orders. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, we had law enforcement from actually all over the Northeast, and a bunch of private citizens, and a bunch of dudes got a whole lot better on the dot. So that was really cool. And this is my third time going through Scott's class, my second time hosting. What a fun weekend. What a fun weekend. Jedi gave James a nickname, Buchecha, which means cheeks. And yeah, we hung out and ate good food, drank good liquor, watched some UFC. Cool times. But dudes got better, and thanks to everybody who came out and made it an awesome weekend. And one gentleman just signed up for Tim Herron's class right after being at Jedi's class. So dudes are hungry for training.
That's awesome, dude. It's always good to hear the classes starting to fill back up. I know that there were a lot of people that were kind of pissed off, and understandably so, in the wake of the whole COVID-19 situation. But glad you guys are getting back up and running, and even your classes are getting back up and running, right?
Yeah, in 11 days, I've got CCW Essentials, and I'm pushing 9 students right now. We might have 10.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Moving on up, dude.
Moving on up. Yeah, no, it's nice to see people. I think people have been pent up, and there's the whole new gun owner craze, and there's a lot of guys that have been doing a lot of dry fire in their basements and bored out of their minds, and girls too. So I think we might have a halfway worthwhile training season after all. We might be saved.
Outstanding. Yeah. So, for those of you that don't know, the title of this episode is "You Did What?" Is if to indicate something crazy happening. And frankly, Kent and I kind of wanted to take a break from having the guests to wind things back just a little bit, especially with all the new gun owners that we've got in America right now, to talk about safety. And we thought one of the best ways to do that would be to give you guys some anecdotal evidence of people doing unsafe, idiotic, and otherwise just stupid things on the gun range. So buckle up. It's going to be a doozy. If you have been suffering from insomnia, we hope to cure that. So,
yeah.
But yeah, Kent, why don't you lead us off? So I'm good. Kent, I really want you to kind of take the reins on this one, because frankly, you get on the range so much more frequently than I do that, I think my one or two anecdotes is not going to be nearly as cool as yours.
So before we do the anecdotal campfire stories, I'll go ahead and give what is my kind of general lead into my safety brief for every class. So this is partial borrowed and partial straight theft from a couple different instructors, but bottom line is safety is a legacy issue on the range. There's no two ways about it, right? At the end of the day, we're all coming out, we're all trusting each other. There's a mixture of experience levels. There's a mixture of skill level. There's classes, there's matches, there's hunting. There's people just out shooting for fun. The 4 firearms range safety rules are often ill-expressed by your typical run-of-the-mill NRA instructor, because they're more dealt with like the rules at a pool. No running, no swimming for these hours, don't eat, don't do this. And it's all about just the pool, right? And the range safety rules are called the range safety rules, and they shouldn't be. What they should actually be referred to are the universal life safety rules of the firearm, because they apply everywhere. They don't just apply on the range. You can violate any 2 and not hurt anyone. God forbid you violate 3, somebody's getting hurt. Just for the benefit of the audience, these rules that we're referencing are always maintain adequate trigger discipline. Never place your finger on the trigger until you are in alignment with a target and are preparing to shoot. Know your target and what is beyond your target. Treat all firearms as if they are loaded. And never cover anything with the muzzle of a firearm that you are not willing to destroy or pay for. So don't point it where it shouldn't be pointed. Make sure you know what your target is. Make sure you have a safe backstop. Treat everything as though it's loaded. And for God's sakes, don't have your freaking finger where it shouldn't be.
Yeah,
Pretty simple.
Yeah, it just to summarize it into one simple word, folks: complacency. Don't be complacent. Don't allow yourself or your range buddies to become complacent either. Nearly every incident that I have ever seen involving a firearm where there was either damage to a person and or property involved complacency. Because violation of those safety rules implies wanton neglect and just not caring or willful violation of those rules, right? But generally speaking, especially, and this is more true with the trained firearms enthusiast, complacency is what gets you killed.
Yep.
And that's something that is echoed not just, at your NRA instruction, that is trickled throughout far and wide into even the ranks of the military. Don't get complacent. It's really that simple.
Yeah, it's easy to ignore safety rules, or it's easy to just a couple more anecdotes for like things I say to students. If you ever attend firearms training and the class does not begin with a solid safety brief and a med plan and an evac plan, and there are not primary, secondary, and tertiary designees for comms and for evac and for med and all those things, that's a pretty giant flag that you should be paying a lot of attention to. So that's just one of those things. And another one of those things that I'm going to say, and this may or may not be controversial, and I don't really care, there are no big boy rules. That's nonsense. If your instructor spends all of half an hour telling you all about the safety rules, and then at some point during training explains why it's okay for he or she to violate them because these are big boy rules, or real life rules, or whatever version of that you may hear, that's absolutely nonsense. There's not very much that we can't replicate in civilian self-defense firearms training without endangering their lives. Cert pistols exist for a reason. Blue guns exist for a reason. Sims exist for a reason. Dry fire reps exist for a reason. There's no reason to be pointing live guns at live students. There's no reason to be doing peel off and frickin' bounding Overwatch drills with ladies who've just learned to handle a handgun last week. Like, there's a lot of dangerous out there. And yeah, Vanessa just says this sounds like a scary class to be in. And you know what, Vanessa? Unfortunately, it's not extremely uncommon. So if a class doesn't lead off with a med brief, if there's not a solid foundation of safety rules, if folks aren't held accountable for those safety rules, should a mistake occur, which mistakes do occur. TJ and I have everyone's made a mistake. Mm-hmm. And dare I say we've been negligent a time or two, because I believe negligence leads to most of those mistakes. But if you can't hold yourself accountable, if you can't hold your students accountable, if you can't take being held accountable, there's nothing worse than that guy at the match who gets DQ'd and storms off in a fit of anger and fury, or a guy who gets asked to, hey man, why don't you grab some water and take 10 while we do these drills in class, and then I'll loop you back in when you've had a time to relax a little bit. If you can't take that, the firearms training is not a place for you to be spending much of your time, unfortunately, because the stakes are just too high. Nobody ever wants to see anybody get seriously injured, and unfortunately, I've had that experience. I've seen at least one person pretty injured during firearms training. No, it was not mine. No, I was not hosting. No, my company's waiver has nothing to do with it. Blah 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 blah. I was a student, and I saw a gentleman reholster and shoot himself through the posterior. Round entered in the upper right buttock and left through the lower right buttock. And, he was fine. He went to the hospital and came back out to the range next day with a bruised ass and a bruised ego, and at least hung around and absorbed the course materials, although he wasn't in much shape to shoot. But, I mean, if you leave with another hole, that's a real bad day, right?
Yeah.
I can't think of worse.
Whether you're talking about dentistry or a day at the range, an extra hole is never a good thing.
No. I literally observed the guy shoot himself, and it's unfortunate. And that instructor, what's scary from the perspective of an instructor or RO or an SO or a match director or whatever, the gentleman running that class, and no, I won't be repeating the name of the company and whatever, because they have a very good safety record, actually. He did everything right, and the guy still hurt himself.
Mm-hmm.
He did a very squared away safety brief. He talked about med stuff. He talked about evac stuff. He did all the right things. He told us all the right things. That student exhibited no signs of prior warning, or the guy didn't muzzle himself with his finger on the trigger guard ever before that moment. But in a fit of complacency and a little bit of getting beyond his own headlights in class, which is a place that we have to take students. We absolutely have to take people beyond their headlights, or they'll never get bigger headlights. The gentleman made a mistake, and he paid for it with, some extra blood and a trip to an ER. He was fine. He came back, with a bruised ego, but, could have been worse. Frank, fit of joy, bam.
Yeah.
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 So
complacency takes all different forms, folks. It's, you could get really excited about how well you just performed on a particular stage. You could be maybe pushing a little bit harder than your equipment can handle. I, for one, have actually been DQ'd from a match.
Sure.
Because I was running, and this was completely my fault. I had a gun in a holster that it was not made for. Now, it fit. It met all the qualifications for a quote-unquote safe holster for that particular match. But when I got to run in from one side to the other of this particular stage, the gun bounced out of the holster and landed on the deck.
So it fit till it didn't fit.
It fit till it didn't fit. Now, if we were just standing there, honestly, I should have obviously tested that better, right? Jumping up and down, jumping jacks, whatever have you, right? Because as I mentioned, to all intents and purposes, the gun fit. But it slid out, and yeah, the rest is history. I took a trip down to Dairy Queen that day.
I've seen dudes with guns.
But that's not the first time I've seen that either. I am certainly not alone on that one.
No, you're not alone on that one at all. I know a guy who, in the middle of a rifle match, started with a pistol on his hip and mags on his hip and everything else, and until he was done not a rifle match, excuse me, a two-gun match, until he was done running through the rifle part of the stage, he had shed like 3 magazines, a pistol, and half a holster.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, homeboy yard sale shit from one end of the range to the other. It was like, well, you were DQ'd 3 times?
Hey, man, you know how it goes. Once the center mass gets a jiggling.
Yeah.
Ain't no telling what's going to come loose, right?
Yeah.
No. But yeah, so why don't you hit us with our first story of the night, Kent? Oh, he took a sip. This is going to be good.
Well, the first story of the night is the one where the gentleman who literally shot himself. That's by far the worst.
Okay, that's true. I'm not paying attention.
That's okay. I'll break it down for you a little further, and we'll learn lessons from what happened to this guy.
Sure.
Besides, oh my God, he reholstered poorly and shot himself in the ass. Okay, got it. Could have been avoided. Could have been avoided with a straight trigger, high index off the side of the frame. Could have been avoided by not speed reholstering. He was never counseled to speed reholster. He was never being timed on speed reholstering. The instructor doing demos was not speed reholstering. Those of us shooting the line around him were not speed reholstering. And yet, this gentleman decided to try to be quick and slam the gun back in his holster. The instructor did not see it. I actually did. I was behind him and to his right. I screamed for a ceasefire, called the line cold. I was not designated as I wasn't an AI. I wasn't part of the instructor cadre. Other people that were there were EMTs and law enforcement. So I was not designated to do anything. This brings up a valuable point. If you are in a group environment such as this and something does happen and you're not pre-designated to be part of the solution, if you're rubbernecking and standing around in the way, you're part of the effing problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that's where this one went awry, because one of the individuals who was not designated to do anything and had not gone through the prep for law enforcement response and so forth, got on his cell phone and said, "This guy just shot himself at the gun range."
Oh, no.
Or something to that effect, right?
Either way, the cops don't think it's a minor injury or a serious, but
right.
otherwise non-life-threatening injury,
right.
And think dude just washed his mouth out with 9mm.
Right. So my students are always given the, hey, if we do need to communicate with first responders and law enforcement, the magic word here is an accidental shooting has taken place during training. An accidental shooting has taken place during training, not TJ just shot Kent just shot TJ, Kent just shot himself, TJ just... Any of that is going to lead to a law enforcement non-medical response. That's going to get the SWAT team. That's going to get fucking full-scale lockdown. Dudes are going to get proned out. Handcuffs are coming out. The law enforcement's going to take control of the scene. And all that's going to happen while your friend is laying there bleeding, assuming that you've applied any level of medical to them at all. Still, all this is going on while this gentleman is still bleeding from the new hole he created in himself, right? So this is literally taking away from an ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
Because EMS is staging until they're told they can show up. At this particular location, there was even some question as to which part of the range was in what county and what county law enforcement and what county EMS was even responsible for the scene. So this poor son of a bitch sat around for 45 minutes waiting to get a ride to the ER.
So I want to stop you there because not firearms related, but certainly emergency services related anecdote.
Yep.
So before we lived in the house that we're in now, we lived on 20 acres in the middle of nowhere. Pure heaven, if you ask me. But suffice it to say that we had to take certain precautions and preparations in the event that an emergency service was required. So much so that I even went out and drew... I had sector maps marked out for helicopter landing zones for air medevac when my wife was pregnant with our daughter. Man, it was awesome. But nonetheless, we had a heavy storm one night, and a tree was knocked down on my neighbor's power line, hit the live wire. Now, granted, it was raining enough to keep the forest, which this tree was on the absolute edge of his 15 acres and my 20 acres. And, you know, essentially the fuse of everything in between his house and mine. Suffice it to say, I had a vested interest other than caring for my neighbor. But
Did you see the tree fall?
No, but I saw the tree leaning against the power line when I was coming home that day.
When it fell, did it make a sound?
I wasn't there when it fell.
See, then we'll never know if a tree falls and it makes a sound.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
But, God, dude, your dad jokes are horrible.
I know, right?
Jesus Christ, derailed the entire situation. Your dad jokes are the penny on the train track of life. So, either way, there were clear sparks. I'll tell you what did make a sound was the sparks and the arcing of the high tensile or high tension wire in this now wet pine tree as it was starting to catch fire.
It's electric.
Boogie, boogie, boogie. Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry for all you listeners out there. But so I called emergency services. I called the non-emergency number because nobody's life was in immediate danger at the time. But when I called them, I also had my ham radio on. It just so happened that the fire department and EMS were still operating on an analog channel that I could monitor. I heard them give the wrong address 3 times and go back and forth for a good 15 minutes on if they should call our county fire department or the neighboring county's fire department because we lived on the border.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately called them back and said, "Hey, numbnuts, I can hear you on the radio. Send this county, this is the county we live in, they're exactly 10 minutes away, and stop giving out the wrong address. I've given it to you a dozen times already. You should be giving out the right address over the radio." And of course, I had to give the address another 3 times. But they eventually showed up. And surprisingly, I actually got the sheriff himself to show up. So, yeah, folks, radio communications are phenomenal to have for situational awareness. You might not have a license to transmit, but I bet you if you had one and could listen, you'd be doing yourself a world of service.
Yes.
So
anyway, homeboy took 45 minutes to get ambulance response. There were 2 gentlemen who were full-fledged EMTs at the class. There were a half dozen law enforcement who, you know, thankfully met the super aggressive ninja SWAT guys with their badges out going, whoa, 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 not what you think it is. Let's not shoot everybody. Thank you. So, yeah, lessons to be learned from that. Don't jump on comms if you're not designated for comms. Don't jump into med if you're not designated for med. Don't speed reholster. Don't have your trigger finger on the trigger when you do reholster. And if all that shit does happen, for God's sakes, please say accident, incident, training. Use the word training a bunch. Be level-headed. Be calm. Send somebody out to the gate or to the main road from the gun club or the range to usher in responding law enforcement so that they understand what's going on. Another local training company here recently had an incident, and it is my understanding that they sent a guy out to the gate, and the dude that they sent out to the gate was wearing a slung rifle and a plate carrier.
Whoops.
Oh, boy. Right? Let's not do that. Johnny Law hears shots fired at XYZ address, comes hammering around the corner and sees G.I. Joe standing there. I don't know. Maybe not the greatest idea.
It ain't what it is. It's what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
That's how that works. So,
exactly.
yeah. So, okay. Outstanding. Good lessons there. So, Kent's already mentioned medical quite a bit. We would be remiss if we did not segue this into reminding you folks that Carrie Davis of Dark Angel Medical is a friend of the podcast. We invite you all to head over to darkangelmedical.com, where code BB15 Bravo 15 will get you 15% off. There's no kickbacks or bonuses or benefits for us at all, just showing Carrie that, we love and support him and his company. But if you could be so kind as to mention the Sling'N Lead podcast in the comment section when you place your order, we would greatly appreciate it. Let Carrie know that we're showing him some love on the podcast on a regular basis. But with that being said, let's go into one of mine that did sadly end in injury. Luckily, not life-ending injury, but a significant injury nonetheless. And it happened at an indoor range during a concealed carry class while the instructor was demonstrating something.
Okay.
Very simple. Okay, so real quick, and this goes into the rule of knowing your target and what is behind it, right? So in this range, and for those of you in the listening to this on podcast, I'll try my best to describe it for you. But the bullet trap on this particular pistol range came down at a V. So if you can imagine a triangle turned on its side, you're shooting into these two plates that apex into a sharp corner. Now, the idea behind this is if you're impacting your target in the right place, the bullet would impact the top steel plate, hit the bottom steel plate, and at that point be completely destroyed. The bottom steel plate was, of course, covered by shaved rubber and other types of ricochet impeding debris. Well, while this instructor, who was an elderly gentleman, retired law enforcement of many years, and his age is important for a reason. So elderly guy in his, I want to say early 70s, still hard charging and kicking with the rest of us, but was on blood thinning medication. So he had some relatively inexperienced shooters, as many CCW classes do, and he was showing people he was giving people an opportunity to get familiar with gunfire in the range in an indoor environment, so that he could kind of take the fear out of them just a little bit. A little bit of fear is a good thing, but so much fear that it's crippling is bad, right? I think we can all agree on that. Mm-hmm. So while he was firing, doing everything right, everything safe, when he fired a round, it impacted at the exact apex of these two slanted plates and sent the copper jacket of this 9mm FMJ, range ammo careening back at him like a ninja star and hit him in the neck.
Yikes.
Yeah. Now, it was not necessarily a direct impact, but like any whirling blade of holy shit, it cut his neck pretty deep and for a pretty decent distance across the side of his neck.
And my man's on Coumadin or some shit, so his clotting capabilities are
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said, he ultimately survived the ordeal. No real worse for wear, but still bled substantially. I mean, your head and neck are going to be the most profuse places of bleeding that are non-arterial anyway. But it was certainly a scary situation, and if I'm being honest, I really felt bad for those newer shooters who one of their first interactions to get their concealed carry permit is to watch somebody have somebody blood shooting out of their neck. But scary times, folks. But again, even if you're at an indoor range, I don't care how safe they say it is, you should always make careful note of where all the aid bags and medical stations are positioned in the range.
Yeah. So I assume gentlemen got medical attention and all was well.
Yes.
That ended well.
Yeah. Luckily, this particular range that I was at was in a relatively well-populated, I hesitate to call it metropolitan, but certainly more of a business district. We also had two current police officers there who moonlight as firearms instructors. It was a husband and wife team. They were both active law enforcement. They had And as most law enforcement guys and gals do, they have full kits in their vehicles, even in their personal vehicles. So aside from the medical equipment that we had at that range, those two were able to spring into action. They actually got on their radios and were able to radio in for medical assistance and also provide an elevated level of treatment based on their own training and expertise. So we were certainly thankful to have them there. But
let me steal one. I'll steal one from Scott from this weekend. Since we're just talking about med bags and all this, Scott has a joke in his not really a joke, but yeah, it's kind of a joke in his safety brief where he talks about, hey, I understand everybody in the place has a med kit because you're all barrel-chested freedom fighters, right? And like you see all the dudes look around like, yeah, I got my med kit, I'm awesome. Scott's like, that's great. So-and-so and so-and-so are designated for med. If you are not designated for med and are not one of them, do not be whipping out tourniquets and throwing them at every person that gets a cut on the range today. We do not need tourniquet bukkake. So, there's also that. There's a med kit and then there's a boo-boo kit, right? We're talking traumatic medicine. We don't need a freaking med flight for the guy that got cut from his slide because his grip finally got high enough up and he got railroad tracked. That's not
eventually you build up a nice callus and it doesn't cut as deep anymore.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all fine. Everything's fine here. No, thank you. How are you?
Although, hey, I went through that second day taped up like a jiu-jitsu fighter, man. I was golden.
Yeah, you were. But yeah, don't be. Not everything is an end of the world medical emergency. Matter of fact, 90% of the stuff that you'll encounter is not, but it could be. Let's see. Let's go on to. Let me tell you the story of the worst rifle match I've ever been to.
Oh God.
There's a there's a 2-gun match at a bunch of my buddies and I went to where many things scared us. But perhaps the scariest thing that led to our immediate exile from said range was that they had one of these range flag systems.
Well, real quick, we should point out that it was willful exile.
Oh, yeah. We fucking see ya.
Yeah.
Can't run away fast enough.
Fred Flintstone's your ass on out of there.
Yeah. So the match so I'll back up. So there's a bunch of ranges that were staggered from 50 out to 600, and they all had their own intermediary berms. But there were holes in the berms so you could get over to the longer ranges for, I guess maintenance purposes or whatever. And they were all encompassed by one bigger berm, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So you've got 600 yards worth of berm, and then a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1. And over on the, we were at this, 2-gun match, and over at I think it was a 300 or 400 yard range, they were doing a, some weird grand match or some nonsense where you stick your thumb in the gun and it hurts when you try to load it, and they're all shooting 30-06 or some horse shit. I don't know. Anyhow, no, they were having an M1 carbine match, and they had these like little buzzers with green and red. If the thing lights up green, everybody's good to shoot. If the thing's lit up red, somebody's downrange somewhere doing maintenance. And we were talking to the match director, and he goes, "Oh yeah, blah 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 blah." And just so you guys know, the range lights aren't working correctly, so Fred over there and I have worked out a system where we're going to wave flags at each other, like lifeguards. And I'm like, I don't know, Fred, and I barely know you, and I don't know if I like this. Like, do we have different color flags? He's like, no, 2 waves is good. Crazy bunch of waves is bad. I'm like, what the fuck?
Okay. I already feel uncomfortable. I need an adult.
Yeah. No, so whatever. So it had been working fine all day, and it really had. And we're at the 50-yard setup, and dude's up in this like makeshift helicopter that they made, with like a base and then 4 chains on post, so it would like sway around like you were in a helicopter and you had to shoot your rifle out of a helicopter. Nobody's ever let me in a helicopter, much less with a rifle, so I don't know what that's like. But this dude assured me that from his many tours and wherever he said he was, this is exactly what it was like. Okay, so he's up in helicopter land shooting his rifle, and I'm looking down range, and I see a person, not a target, a person, walking in between the maintenance areas of the berm. And I yell, ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. He looks at me, and I say, there's a guy down range. He looks over, sees him, and goes, yeah, he's heading the other way. Gets back in his optic and continues shooting. Good God. The level of there must have been 6 dudes at this match that all were just floor, chin on floor and okay, this is scary.
We're about to witness a murder.
Right. I'm in danger. So, I said, dude, stop. What are you doing? He goes, oh, don't worry. I'm not that worried about my time.
Hashtag priorities.
Yeah. And I'm like, I guess we don't like that guy? Like, what? Well, no, he's on the other range. He's not on the other range if I can see him. Like, that's not how that works, homeboy. So.
Oh, God, have mercy.
That's one of those anecdotes where when the safety equipment isn't working, don't continue.
Mm-hmm.
They assured us they had their flags figured out.
The flags I'm sure were working fine. It was the fact that they were willing to send rounds down range while there's a human body down there.
Yeah, the dude looked back and did one of these hey, I'm getting shot at. It's like, oh my dear Lord in heaven. Yeah, scary stuff. You'll never see my name on practice score going to that match again. God almighty.
Good Lord. Well, thank God nobody was hurt, but that's scary. I mean, guys, you see it all the time, sadly. But there is one in particular that I recall seeing video of. And it was they were running a USPSA match, pistol match.
Yep.
Real simple. Yep. No 300, 400, 500 yard, oh my God, there's a little dude out there walking, laterally across the range. This is, within 50 yards. And this is why a lot of your barriers or your quote unquote walls in USPSA are made out of orange snow fence. So you can see through them.
Yep.
But even those obscure vision, because that's what happened here. Guy starts running a range or starts running the stage. There's still a guy that wasn't done setting up yet or resetting the stage. And this guy sitting around that range while homeboy's walking back from the end of this bay area. Talk about a pucker factor, man.
Yeah.
Luckily, the shooter saw it and immediately stopped what he was doing and reholstered and was like, whoa. It was definitely scary. But you guys got to be careful with this. Hell, even when I go to the range, so at the range I go to now, we have it's a big loud buzzer. It'll go from green, yellow, red, depending on you'll have the yellow you'll have a warning, meaning it's about to go cold. Yep, Rodney, you're right. The shooter did see it before the RSO did. But a couple of weeks ago when I was at the range, I was the only one there. So it's a private range, members only. And even though I get there, I break out my rifles. No other cars in the parking lot. It actually turned out to be a really good day, if I'm being honest. But I see that the range is hot, ready to go. I still call out downrange. Is there anybody on the range? 3 to 4 very loud times, and I take my ear pro off to see if there might just so happen to be somebody down there that you didn't see. Because the way that range works is you are allowed to walk to the 100-yard berm only. Anything beyond 100 yards, you have to drive. Now, this range, being as squared away as they possibly can be, offers and provides golf carts that the shooters can take down range. The glorious thing about these is that the keys for those golf carts are connected to the range control system. So if the key is out of it, the range will stay cold until those keys are returned. And it's a 2-key system for each side of the range. It's beautiful setup, but you never know. There have been times where those golf carts have been not working and people have driven their personal vehicles down there. So you always got to be careful of that stuff. And we're talking about a range that goes out to 1,250 yards. So you better bring some binos with you. But that brings... Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you got excited. Go ahead.
Tim Kelly's in the chat, and he says that an NRA training coordinator had an ND in an instructor course when she was trying to teach the class trigger reset with an unloaded gun on a cold range.
Quote, unquote, unloaded.
Yes. Yeah, that shit'll happen. That shit will happen.
Yeah. NRA needs to police their people a little better.
Or invite them all to force on force and play Russian roulette with which one gets the sim gun and see what happens.
No, because one of them would find a way to put a live round in a sim gun.
That's mean. Well, I mean, hell, that happened here too. We had a training company shoot a student during force on force.
Wait, with live ammo?
Oh yeah, right in the neck.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, not at a facility I'm at all involved in, but yeah, a gentleman is currently paralyzed because live guns and force on force.
Yeah, lead and C-spine vertebrae don't mix.
Yeah, no, well, this whole we're instructors and we're cool guys, so we're gonna keep a backup gun on us even in force on force in case the zombies come over the wall. Maybe it's not such a bright fucking idea.
Right.
So, that one really sends me. Tim, due to my proximity to the situation here and the fact that the guy's a competitor of mine locally, I won't say his name on the podcast, but it happened in central Pennsylvania very recently. So, pretty easy.
It might be worth a Google. Just saying.
Yeah. I'm not going to. There's a lot of lawsuits flying around.
We're getting robot voice from you, buddy. Yep, doing the check. Plug check. You're muted. Unmute. This is getting awkward.
I'm not.
There we go.
I'm here.
We got you. Okay. So damn YouTube getting at us again with your robot voice. Anyway, so next story. This goes to treat every gun as if they're loaded. Always confirm and double confirm and then confirm again that it is unloaded. So same range or store from my previous story. In strategic locations in that store, let's just say there were defensive guns that were positioned and marked accordingly. In the event that somebody wanted to, bum rush during, end of night operations. Totally feasible. It's not unheard of. As stupid as it sounds, people have tried to rob gun stores before. One of the main reasons why most gun stores, everybody's armed. But elderly gentleman was wanting to get a new home defense shotgun and was going down the line with practically every shotgun that we had on the wall. And there were a lot. Well, the guy helping him was handing him shotguns. And every time he'd hand this gentleman a shotgun, the gentleman would shoulder it, mount it, point it up at the ceiling. At least he was being safe with it. And pressing the trigger to kind of get a feel for the shotgun. Completely not unheard of or unseen behavior at a gun store, right? Well, not paying attention, the clerk handed the guy one of these strategically placed shotguns. Now, the clerk racked the gun to the rear, looked in the barrel, but did not think to look in the lifter. And when he handed the gun to the gentleman, he then ran the fore end forward, ultimately chambering around as the guy mounted it, pointed it up towards the ceiling, and fired a round of double-aught buckshot through the air conditioning duct.
Wow.
12 gauge indoors is really loud, folks. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, bit of a pucker factor. Yeah, there's that too.
Sure. So let's talk about match and class environments. And so first and foremost, I'm going to say that on the whole,
Preference
99
feels good.
Yeah, it does. 99.9999999% of the people I've had the privilege of training under with have had the privilege of training myself as their instructor, competing with, been an RO for, been an SO for, been RO'd by or SO by. Point being, 99.999% of the people I spend time with guns around are super safe, super reliable, and 100% trustworthy. But when you go put a match on practice score, as it turns out, just about anybody can show up, and you have no idea who's coming.
Aren't those so much fun?
Bro, I'll tell you what. And as a result, every once in a while, something goes real scary. And I'm going to tell a success story because I DQ'd a young lady. She is a 86-year-old young lady who comes to shooting matches with her 83-year-old boyfriend.
Go Grady.
Dude, these people are a hoot. And they shoot their Walthers like a house on fire. Maybe not like a house on fire, but they drive them guns faster than they drive their Model Ts, if you know what I'm saying. They do pretty okay, honestly. I DQ'd this lady, I don't know, a year ago at an IDPA match for doing what I like to call the shoot myself shuffle when you're trying to fix a malfunction, which kind of looks like this. You know?
Putting the hand in front of the muzzle.
Yeah. One of them, we go to do an overhead rack, and we slip, and our hand goes in front of the muzzle, then we do it again, and we do it again. So I DQ'd her, and I was an SO for the stage, but I was not her SO, and her SO didn't see it, and I stopped the whole thing and DQ'd her. And as an 86-year-old lady is apt to do, she got upset with me. And she told me exactly where I should go put it, and that George Washington's the best president we ever had, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She got all mad at me. And I said, hey, listen, I'd be happy to take you out on the range afterwards and show you how to clear that malfunction safely and reliably without having a problem. And she told me where to put it. And she stumbled off.
Listen, Granny, don't make me break your hip. I'm trying to be polite.
She was consistent, though, boy. She told me I was fat. She told me I was stupid. She was pissed, right? But she left the range. And she went inside and sat down and waited for her husband to finish shooting, her boyfriend. And we got inside.
Hold on. When you tell her, yeah, those insults are real original. I know, I created them.
Yeah. So we went inside, and she approached me politely, and she said I might have been a little harsh outside, and I'm sorry. And if you'd still be so kind, I'd like to take you up on your offer. I was, all right, cool. So we went out to a bay, and I gave her a 45-minute malfunction clearance lesson on the spot with my dummy rounds and my stuff that's always in my truck, and I helped her with it, right? And I saw her show up to a bunch of matches, and she continued to get safer and safer and safer. And, damn it, she showed up to a match that I was actually co-match director of up here at Tupelhawken, called Combat Pistol, that my buddy and I are trying to get off the ground. And we saw the two of them coming, and he looks at me and he goes, oh, shit, look who's coming. And I said, uh-oh, this could be fun. And he goes, I haven't seen them for a while. Have you? I said, no, I haven't either. And here she comes, and her boyfriend's been reloading for her, and you know what that means. She's going to have some malfunctions.
I like how you just kind of slid that in there, buddy.
And stage one, homegirl gets a malfunction, gets a hang up in that gun, gets a nice little double feed, and she cleared that sumbitch like a Green Mountain Defense student should. and kept right on shooting, shot through the whole stage. Unload, show clear, slide forward, hammer down, holster. Holsters the gun, turns around and fist bumps me and goes, "Thank you for your help." Oh, child. I looked at her. I said, "Where did that come from?" She goes, "I didn't take another one of your classes because I was a little mad at you. But you told me somebody else's name, and I went and I traded with him, and we did a lot of work on malfunctions, and that's never been a problem for me again." Fuck yes.
Hold on. I could see that consult. Oh, well, yes, ma'am. What brings you here? Yeah, that stupid motherfucker over at the other range DQ'd me, told me I should come see you.
Yep. That's about the size of it, right? But she was so sweet. She goes, "I was doing that wrong." I said, "Oh, I know." She goes, "I know you know." Like, it's all right. You're fine.
I just want to let you know that I know you know.
Oh, yeah. Granny did not have any chill, as Frank says. But you know what? She did great. And she shot herself a hell of a match. And she came in like 7th in our combat pistol match. Believe that shit or not.
Wow.
Well, I mean, there were 9 dudes shooting, but
yeah, but
not last.
I mean, 86? You said?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That's respectable,
dude. I'm gonna tell you some shit.
I hope I'm that spry when I'm 86.
They do not care. They go to every pistol match now. They go everywhere.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
It was amazing. But my point being, somebody took something from a negative safety situation and made it a positive, which is always nice to see.
So yeah. I think this is a good segue. Speaking of belligerent senior citizens, to bring up, because we wouldn't be complete in our discussion about safety if we didn't talk about the asshole.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have to be a senior citizen.
Well, no, what I mean by that, well, this is true. I wasn't referring to her boyfriend because, I mean, I bet he just sit back and like, "Oh, son, you done messed up. You shouldn't have said nothing."
He says very few words and carries her range bag.
Yeah.
To be entirely honest.
Fair. Okay. So we got an 83-year-old gigolo and his mistress. Like I said, mad props to Granny, right? But I think some of the worst things that I've seen that have led to otherwise unsafe firearms handling, either in training or on a match, more so during a match than anything, has been the guy or girl that just decides to be an asshole. Mm-hmm. So, Kent, you got any stories like that? Because I've got one.
Unfortunately, I do. And, man, I don't even know if I want to tell it because this gentleman just passed away not of a gun accident, but I'm bumped. But this guy did just pass away, but he had a temper moment with me on the range one time. But I won't tell his story.
You won't besmirch the recently departed. Fair enough.
No. I really won't because he had a bad day on the range one day and let his mouth get ahead of him a little bit and got mad or something. But other than that, pretty chill cat. I will tell you that one thing that I do see a lot of is I see a lot of people that when they get in the match DQ, they get DQ'd and they stand there and argue with you while they've got their hot gun in their hand. And they want to turn around and they want to talk to you and they want to say, "Hey, well, that wasn't a day." Page 67, paragraph 3 of Bill Wilson's manual clearly states, and I'm like, dude, if you don't put that gun in a holster, I'm going to put it in your ass. Like, unload, show clear, then we'll talk. No.
Phrasing.
Unload and show clear, and then we'll talk, right? But, yeah, if you do get DQ'd in a match, if you get stopped, if somebody stop, you're DQ'd. Also, if you're ROing or SOing, don't be that dickhead umpire that's like, "You're out of here." Hey, man, stop. Unload, show clear. Slide hammer holster.
Can we make that your ringtone?
What? "You're out of here."
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. I like it too.
Yeah, we can dig that.
Don't take any pleasure in throwing dudes off the range, but at the same time, if you do get stopped, put your shit away safely before trying to argue or plead your case. We'll go, I'll go get the match director. I'll go get who's ever in charge. If I am the match director up at Tupelhawken, I'll come talk to you. I don't care. Somebody could be wrong. Somebody could be right. Frickin' IDPA has more rules than Dungeons and Dragons, so like, kind of hard to keep up with. USPSA, not so much. But the bottom line is, like, you can think somebody's wrong all day, but don't stand there and argue with a hot gun in your hand. That's my. It's not even really an asshole. It's just a natural reaction thing. People want to plead their case, but put your gun away and then plead your case.
Yeah. So, no, that's a valid point. Yeah. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. At the end of the day, especially if it's a competition, remember, while safety is, of course, paramount, it's still just a game.
Yeah.
Right? This is where that miss or that, that otherwise DQ moment that is kept safe is not a big deal. It's a learning moment, and we would be remiss if we didn't learn from it. And that includes everybody, even for the people that aren't shooting. Because I guarantee you, when I had that DQ when that gun fell out of my holster, probably about 7 dudes that were there went to double check their equipment at the safe area. Learning, teachable moments, folks, teachable moments. So, probably the worst asshole story that I had from a competition day was sadly involving a young junior shooter and his asshole father. So we're all out there, local match, regular group of guys, and girls. You show up at these local matches enough times, it becomes one big group of friends that just get together and go shooting, right? Inevitably, you're going to have new people that show up, and new guy shows up with his son in tow, and comes up before the match. Man, the way this guy was talking, you would think he moderates the Brian Enos forum.
That's the funniest shit you've said in like 4 episodes.
Right?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
So we're like, okay, so guy seems to know what he's talking about. First couple stages go by without incident. The way we have it set up, or the way we have had it set up, is typically whenever there's a junior shooter, the RO or that particular range officer, or that's the officer for that stage, be it the person in that squad or designated at that stage, depending on the event, will and is the ultimate safety and authority for that particular moment. But for junior shooters, we allow the parent or guardian to walk alongside with the RO in a safe position behind the RO, because frankly, when you've got an otherwise novice shooter, the more eyes you have on the shooter and the gun, the safer the situation is. Mm-hmm. And the more confident that junior shooter can be, knowing that there's not just some stranger that's, watching me like a hawk to make sure I don't mess up, but my mom or dad are here too. Kind of puts them at ease a little bit.
Sure.
Well, this kid was trying his best, new to the sport, and dad was ripping him apart practically. No, you're doing this. You're
like
doing
that
this
baseball
wrong.
Dad. I hate the baseball dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that is a perfect analogy. The baseball dad.
Oh my God.
The difference being is that the kid is no interest in baseball.
Right.
Whereas I have to say this, most of the baseball dads I know, their kid wants to be on the all-star team.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the kids around here, if they don't want to be playing baseball, you don't have the baseball dad or mom. But that being said, that's a perfect example. So dad is getting so irritated at his son's performance that he himself is starting to choke. Couple stages later, guy's getting a malfunction, clearing a malfunction, and you can tell that his frustration with his son is radiating and carrying over and projecting to his performance. And guy is getting increasingly more pissed off as he is shooting and getting these malfunctions and jams. Springfield, by the way. Yeah, that should have told you everything you needed to know right there. I should have probably led with that. So acts like the moderator of a Brian Enos forum, but carries a damn Gen 1 Springfield XD. So
the gun with built-in dummy rounds.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he proceeds to get irate. I was actually the RO for this particular instance, and I stopped him. I was like, stop, unload, show clear, holster. I was like, hey, bro, you got to chill, because when you're trying to clear these rounds, and he was ultimately doing the same thing that Granny was doing, right, while he's getting so frustrated at what he's trying to do, trying to make this piece of machinery work, that he's getting complacent and flagging himself.
Yep.
And the downside is like the kid, like you look back at him throughout this day, and like he got consistently more disheartened with his experience the longer the day went from his dad riding his ass the way he was.
Yeah.
So kid was like within earshot of me. And I had to. I was like, dude, I'm sorry. You're flagging yourself. Unsafe. You're out of here. You're done.
You're out of here.
There you go. See, we got to get a soundboard. I'm telling you, it would pay dividends. But yeah, so I DQ'd the guy, and he was like, come on, son. I was like, whoa, hold on. Your son didn't get DQ'd. I'm like, typical practice of sportsman-like conduct in these types of events there's only like 1 or 2 stages left in the day, bro. Yeah. Stay and let your son finish shooting. And he's becoming a complete dick. And I'm like, oh, and by the way, if this is how you're going to act when your son's running his last 2 stages because he didn't get DQ'd, you keep your ass on the bench. I'll get one of my buddies over here to help out. Because I've seen him talking to, Jimmy and Smitty and Brian and Bobby and, all my buddies who all know what the hell they're doing. It's maddening. It's really sad on multiple levels. 1, for the unsafe gun handling. 2, for the amount of aggression. And 3, for taking away a potential future Second Amendment advocate and completely just killing his joy over shooting sports. And I think that's probably what pissed me off. I'll be honest with you. The way the guy was acting, if he would have sent one through his hand, I'd have bandaged him up, but I wouldn't have been sad for him.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, we'll just tourniquet this right at the forearm. And yeah. Oh, does that hurt? Does that hurt? Stop poking it. Does that hurt? I'm checking for nerve damage. Does that hurt?
That's terrible.
I was like, see, son, don't do what your dad does. Don't be a dick.
All right, so let's humble ourselves at the feet of our listeners and tell one on ourselves. Can you think of one?
No, I mean, the gun falling out of my holster was a big one for me.
Oh, yeah, right. You did say that.
I mean, it was a $2,000 STI that came out of a holster and hit the ground, but yeah, that's kind of a crappy one.
Okay. Let's see.
So I will tell you this. I have had an ND.
Oh, yeah, we all have.
Yeah, I have had an ND, and it was with a Ruger 1022. Right into the wall.
The wall, what? Like an indoor range or?
No, my house.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. So very similar story to the shotgun guy, actually. The one that put a 12 gauge round into the AC duct.
Yeah.
I had a friend over. We're going through my gun collection, and again, complacency, right? So pulled out my 1022, pulled the bolt back, not realizing that I had the magazine in it with rounds in it because country and, critters. So ran the boat home, kept it in a safe direction, of course, and it went up through a wall. Luckily did not penetrate the other side, just kind of went up into the sheetrock. But yeah, I'll tell you what, I had to go change my pants after that one, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that was shit, damn near a decade ago.
So let's see. I have a few good examples on things that have happened to me. Um, One is sometimes through no fault of your own, literally, things can blow up on you. Uh, Exhibit A would be this here slide, or this half of this here slide, right? Um, that was a Shadow Systems SS9C slide for a Glock 19, and you know, factory ammo, regular everything, normal day. Fucking doing 3.2s, and I did a 3.4.5 with a kapow, and it hit me in the face, right? So my shooting glasses. So this is one of those like little safety things where it's like, I don't need eye pro. I'd be right eye dominant all of a sudden if I didn't have eye pro, because I wouldn't have a left eye. That son of a bitch slide came flying off the back of that gun full speed and hit me right in the eye pro. So sometimes guns can absolutely 100% blow up, and you know, what are you gonna do?
No, and no. So guns blowing up is a big thing. I would even argue that aside from complacency, negligence, whatever you want to call it, a complete fuck up like I had that I certainly learned from.
Yeah.
I have seen more people injured through reloading.
Oh yeah.
Not necessarily the process of reloading, like on the press. There's plenty of stories going around about those having complete catastrophic failures, primer tubes. But I have seen guys where they'll double charge a case for pistol ammo, and you want to turn a pistol into a grenade.
Oh yeah.
And that'll cause some serious damage. I've seen more, like if we're talking about quote unquote minor safety issues, right? That still led to injury. And when I say minor safety issues, I mean nobody was injured other than the person that had the gun in their possession. So it wasn't being negligent and pointing it at someone or cleaning it, put around in their sister, anything like that. But you want to talk about a hand getting filleted open like they were holding a firecracker?
Yeah, dude. Happened to me.
That's why when I reload pistol, and folks, if you're looking at getting into reloading, and Kent, we should put this down on the board. We should do an episode on reloading. But but yeah, it will that's why when I reload pistol ammo, I have a powder check die. So for those that don't know, playing the home game, what a powder check die is, essentially you calibrate it to the proper load amount or of powder or volume amount of powder that goes into the casing when you're reloading ammunition. And if it is too high or too low within a danger area, it will buzz or beep, and that will keep you, I won't say keep you, but it will assist in mitigating squib loads. So rounds where you put, not enough powder into or no powder into, or rounds that you put way too much powder into. And yeah, I'm telling you, it's a peace of mind that you just can't sleep without.
I had a 380 round get the whole way through my press in 9mm. So I put 4.1 grains of tight group under a 115 grain projectile in a 380 casing, which if you know anything about pistol reloading, you'll know is way over the case capacity for 380. And
this seems a little compressed.
I didn't catch it, and that their Sig Sauer P320 became a P317 and 3 because there were some pieces missing, and you won't be able to see it, but there's a nice scar running down my thumb because I'm a left-handed shooter, right by the ejection port, and it went kerwallop in a real hurry.
And folks, that's the technical term, kerwallop.
Kerwallop is the technical term.
It is in the dictionary between cattywampus and caterwaul.
Yeah. But to give credit where credit is due, the fine folks at SIG sent me another pistol without a drop safe trigger. So thank you, SIG. But no, they did. I called them. I said, I done blew up my gun. They said, how'd you do that? I said, well, I reloaded a 380 with a 9mm and blah, 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 blah. The guy said, Jesus, you still have all your fingers? I said, I do. He said, that's amazing. You want another pistol? Sure do. And they sent me one. And I sent them pieces of a pistol and they sent me a brand new one back. So, gotta love that.
I mean, they just melted it down and turned it back into a pistol.
Yeah, their grip frames are pretty cheap.
Comfortable. I'll give them that.
But no, that shit can happen, man. That's a real thing. Let's see. What else can I tell on myself?
Rodney says, I done blew up my gun. Yeah, it's about the size of it.
Yeah, that's about it. There was the time when I learned that decocking a lever action Marlin 336 with gloves on was probably the worst idea in the face of the deer woods.
Oh, did you slip on the hammer?
Sure did.
That counts.
Oh my God.
You're like, well, shit, nobody got hurt, but I'm not seeing any deer for the next 6 weeks.
Oh, dude, somebody got hurt all right. My daddy whooped my ass. I was 14.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, dude. My dad made a whole thing out of that. Well, I mean, I'm not saying he was wrong, but yeah.
I had to transcribe the entire manual for the Marlin 336 150 times.
No. Dad just drove me to a cemetery and made me sit there for an hour. And then beat me.
I mean, did you didn't do it again, right?
No, but I had this little twitch every time Dad wanted to take me hunting for the next 3 years, but it's fine. Yeah, he made a whole thing out of that, but he wasn't wrong. I sailed a frickin' 336 30-30 round out into the ether in the game lands in Pennsylvania.
Oh wow. Yeah, dude, that's always haunting.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, because with our luck.
Oh yeah.
The one guy, Elmer, sitting in his damn tree stand.
Oh yeah.
1,200 yards away, longest 30 shot in history, would find its way planted in his kneecap or worse.
No, I can't hit a deer at 35 yards standing still, but I'd have managed to hit a lady in a nursing home 4 miles away. I just know it.
Hold on. This image is coming to my mind from, oh God, what was it? Happy Gilmore, when he was driving the golf balls down the street, and because there would be almost no ballistic energy left in that round. There's just an old granny walking into the nursing home, and then crack, ow!
And she falls over, and somebody immediately yells, "COVID!"
Yeah.
Oh my God. But no, that was probably my scariest. That round from that 30-30 is the only round that left a firearm that I could truly say I have no idea where it ended up. I was 14. I'm telling you right now, I have no idea where that round ended up.
And you know what though, folks, just so we can prove, exactly how much those whoopsies matter, I bet you can still hear the echo of that shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really bothers me to this day. It really bothers me. Yeah, no. It's one of those things that I didn't, I had like when your daddy beats you over something and you have one of them flashbacks from 10 years ago and you don't remember where it came from. I was 24, 25 teaching somebody how to shoot a Henry Golden Boy.
And you had one of those flashbacks.
And I was like, now listen, the worst thing that you could possibly do, and they left the range and I was still sitting there twitching for the next 3 hours going, oh God. But yeah,
you know what's almost as haunting of a sound is when you discharge a 22 rimfire in the house, up into the drywall, and you hear your wife from the other side of the house go, "What the hell is that?"
Oh my god!
Nothing.
It's funny, but it's funny, but it's not. It's funny, but it's not. It's real.
We can laugh at it when we know nobody got hurt, right?
Right. But I'll tell you this: it really, really brings you back. I mean, I've had mistakes on ranges, and I've sent shots that like, ooh, dude, I know for sure I was trying for a bill drill, and I got a little quick on my splits, and I sent a 7th round, and man, I wasn't too happy about that. But that 30-30 round is the only round in history I've ever sent out of a gun that I have no idea where it went.
Right.
And I don't like that. And if you have any level of respect for this at all, like if you're listening to us and you're like, oh, these fucking dickheads, they don't know what they're doing. It's like, listen, man, I shot 47,000 rounds of 9mm last year. At a certain point, statistically speaking, if you shoot enough and you do this enough, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
Yeah, exactly. Now, let's be clear here, because there is a very popular thread going around right now, at least screenshots of said thread, right? Where there is a guy that was making the claim that if you don't have an ND at some point in your shooting career, that you're not running the gun hard enough or you're not training hard enough. That is not what we are saying at all.
No, I'm not saying that.
We are merely saying that complacency can affect everyone. I don't care how professional you are. I don't care how squared away you think you are, how much your shit don't stink. It is thinking like that. You are not immune to screwing up.
Yeah.
And if anything, the confessions that Kent and I have made, right, on this podcast tonight should be a testament to that.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I have learned so much by screwing up. And thankfully, nobody was hurt. And Kent, likewise for you, man. Thank God nobody was hurt. But these are lessons that will echo through forever. And honestly, it's one of the reasons that we're the sticklers for safety and safe gun handling that we are today. Because we know, regardless of how good you are or how long you've been doing this, you are not immune.
Nope. I've seen really good shooters make safety mistakes. I've seen TTPs save people. You build in tactics, training, and procedures for a reason. I've seen safety nets and safeguards result in things that could have been way worse than they really were, turning into just a quick that could have sucked.
Yeah.
I've seen students in drills get outside their headlights, but because we build in other safeguards, nobody else gets hurt. I've drawn guns in cars. I've drawn guns standing. I've drawn guns in the rain. I've drawn, a lot of times, I've seen where one more step in the wrong direction could have been real dangerous. But, generally speaking, most people, most of the time, handle it real safely. And this is why when we, not for nothing, but if you see me at the range up here, and like, yes, I'm a board member at our local range, et cetera, and I come over to you and I say some shit, I assure you, I'm not trying to be the cool guy range Nazi, and I'm not wearing my PT belt, my safety flag, and my fluorescent orange hat, and like my badge that says safety officer, because like, stop it. But if I come over and I say, hey man, I see you're shooting steel. I'm not trying to be a dick, but you really need to have glasses on.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I've caught some spall from steel back in my face. Like, I know what that feels like. I know what that looks like. I know what that is.
Hell, I had one that same day I went to the range a couple weeks ago. Caught me right here. I'm seeing if I still got the little nick. But yeah, from when I was shooting the footage for the Glock 34 review.
Yep.
Yeah, man. First round out of the gun. Ping. Tick. Oh, ow. That stings. Although the fun part,
Wait. I have a question. Did you yell contact front, put the gun up at temple index, turn around, and run behind the table?
no,
Then you're doing it wrong.
no.
Sorry.
I should scan and assess more.
Yes, you should.
But,
God damn it.
But yeah, man, it's that little reminder. I'll tell you something funny. You ever go to a USPSA or any two-gun, multi-gun match, or more specifically one that involves pistols? If you see somebody break out a 10 millimeter or 357 SIG, cover your damn neck.
Oh yeah,
because hitting steel plates with those, you want to talk about spalling. You'll get some spalling off of 10 mil and 357 SIG. First time I went to a match like that, it was up at Fort Campbell, fantastic range, but guy pulls out his Glock 40 MOS with his 6-inch barrel, 10-inch long, practically a rifle pistol, and starts to waylay and steal. And as soon as guys see him holster up, they're like 10 mil. They all cover their neck like like they've got a spinal injury and they're running for cover. I'm like, where the hell are you guys going? And they're like, just trust us. And yeah, sure as shit, I took some shrapnel to the ear. That hurts.
Yeah.
And it bled. And I was a good 15, 20 yards behind the line. That sucks.
There's nothing like being 3 bays over and hearing some steel ting and then seeing some rocks 3 feet from you rustle up.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
That could have been spicy.
Yes, a little bit.
We got some, I'll tell you what we have going on at our range right now that's a little unsafe. We got some ghetto-ass COVID deer. We got some deer that ain't seen humans in a couple weeks, and they're walking around the range like, bitch, what?
So
ain't nobody gives no fucks about you and your guns.
So there's deer at the range I go to, especially on the long range, but they're so used to gunshots it doesn't faze them.
That's what I'm talking about. I got a doe that at range 2 just fucking tramples her ass up and down the freaking top of the berm. And she'll be standing there looking at me like, I'm a graze because I'm majestic as fuck. You're either going to shoot or you ain't going to shoot.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for her to whip out a Taurus and shoot back at some point.
Yeah, listen, you giant squirrel.
Yeah.
No, but it's fun. I'll tell you what, it's really cool about, when you start learning about the ballistic arc or the flight path of a bullet at distance, and you realize that deer that is in your scope, like you can see them through your optic, but because you're aiming at 500 yards and your elevation is adjusted such that the bullet is way above that deer when you're pulling the trigger. Because obviously the range owner's like, hey, you're going to see deer out here. You're going to see coyotes. Just don't shoot the wildlife. Okay, fair. You're circus, you're monkeys, man. We won't shoot the deer. But, he's out there and like there's deer downrange. I'm like, oh, did we call a ceasefire for the deer? He goes, no, it's going above him by like 100 feet. I'm like, oh, okay.
You know what? I could flinch enough to hit one.
I don't know if you'd want to, though.
No, I don't think I'd want to, but I guarantee
not range deer. No, all the shit that might be in the grass that they're grazing in.
Yeah,
it's amazing their bellies ain't dragging the floor from all the lead and copper jackets that they probably ingest.
I'm telling you, man, this one at our range, she just walks up and down range 2 and looks at you like,
wait, you just have the one?
Well, no, there's a bunch, but there's one that thinks range 2 is her house.
Oh, but you have one in particular.
I can call her out.
Have you named her yet?
Yeah, her name is Target. I'm going to fucking kill her ass here pretty soon. Like, it's coming, dude.
Just on sheer principle alone.
I swear to God, I'm like, what are you doing? I put up a Instagram video about her like a couple months back. She's just standing there looking at me like, dude, I don't care about you. She's like,
I've seen you shoot. I'm safe.
Yeah. She's like, I've seen you shoot at brown shit before. You missed everything else you were shooting at. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
No, but they're crazy. So let's see what else. One more thing. you tactical ninja fellas with your AR-15 MSR assault rifles. Emphasis added for humor. There's such a thing as optical offset. This happened.
Oh
This,
God!
yeah, this is a thing with rifles and red dot pistols.
If you don't
And
believe us, ask Such 00.
Yeah, old Such Double Lot put one in his fucking
in
hood.
the hood of his truck, like three of them.
He put 3 rounds in the hood of the truck that Olight bought him for advocating for terrible flashlights. Anyway, come at me, bro. I have seen more people get down in a freaking. I heard Tim sigh over your podcast. I don't know what that was about.
Apparently, mechanical offset's a sore subject for our dear friend Tim.
Oh God, I've seen more people put their freaking optic on the VTAC barricade and wha-pow! Like, shit, that's a lot of splinters. I'm like, you missed by a lot. Or, hey, you just shot the barrel. Or, hey, you just shot the barricade. Or, hey, you just ruined everything.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah. This is why we can't have nice things. Or the dude that's practicing rollover prone with his rifle and buries the muzzle device in the mud and sends one and just poof.
The
earth explodes was stupid.
Yeah. But why am I not hitting anything? Well, you're hitting something.
Oh, you're always hitting something. Matter of fact, t-shirt idea.
You're always hitting something.
Hashtag you hit something. We just
that works. Know what. Yeah. But we are getting up on that magical time, dude.
Okay.
So in closing, what have you got for everybody?
So like we've told a lot of jokes, right? We've had some fun and some humor with this, but take this shit seriously. We are talking ballistics. Things that will maim or kill you. Please, please, please act responsibly. I can't tell you the number of people that I see that don't take it seriously. I really, 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 really wish that people would stop mixing guns and alcohol or guns and drugs or guns and whatever else. I really can't tell you how much I wish dudes would stop taking their girlfriends or wives out to try to be silly, funny, or whatever and put a 44 mag or a 10 gauge shotgun in their hand because ha 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 ha. You fucking dickhead. I just want to beat you to death with your grandpappy shotgun when you do crap like that. It really pisses me off.
Oh, what? You don't like seeing a 90-pound trailer park queen getting smacked in the forehead by a desert eagle?
No, it's so stupid. So stupid. I really, really, really hate to see when people don't take this seriously. And to my fellow instructors out there, if you're putting on some shit and you're hurting people on a regular basis, or you've had more than one of these terrible instances, or you've had to close 2 or 3 companies and reopen new ones because you can't seem to stop shooting your fucking students, find another profession. I'm tired of it. I'm absolutely tired of it. And worse than that, stop giving money to unqualified nincompoops. Like if you're asked to sign a waiver that looks absolutely 100% retarded, don't sign a waiver. If you're at a freaking gun class and the dude's like, all right, now here's what we're going to do. Relay 1's going to step in front of Relay 2 and move back and forth, and you guys are going to shoot over each other's shoulders. Holster your shit and leave and burn them down on the internet and make their freaking credit card company refund you and all the bad. Just all the bad. Do everything bad you can. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, leave the Spetsnaz backflip hatchet throwing to the Spetsnaz backflip hatchet throwers.
There's way too many good dudes and good gals out there that could show you some real shit with a firearm and keep you. Tim, I wasn't gonna go there, but yeah, dude, if your waiver is so stupid that it makes my eyes bleed, don't sign that thing and leave the range. I'm done with it. It's not cool, guy. It's not bravado. It's not time for silly, funny ha-has. This is real serious shit. People really do get hurt. Some of us really do care. And, God damn it, I'm so tired of the nonsense. So if dudes need help or need to find quality instructors and you're not around me and you happen to hear my voice, hit me up. I'll get you in touch with the right people in the right places. But man, oh man, oh man, stop putting money into terrible products, terrible trainers. Stop thinking you know what you're doing when you don't. This is a gun. This is literally a gun. I would never, like my buddy, one of my good buddies, Sean, right now is taking flight lessons, right? Can you imagine getting in a plane and being like, yeah, man, I know what I'm doing. Fuck no. I have no idea what I'm doing in a Cessna. Zero. Zip, zilch, nada. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going to research the shit out of my flight instructor.
Yeah.
Just saying. Maybe you should be researching the shit out of your firearms instructor. That's all. I get mad about it. I'm sorry, TJ.
No, you're fine, buddy.
Okay.
You're fine.
Okay. I'll go back to my corner now.
All right. It's all good, man. We love it. You're in a safe space. Woosah. Remember the pressure points. What the therapist taught it. There you go. All right. So, folks, as always, we appreciate you tuning in and dialing in on your favorite podcast player to listen to the sounds of our voices on a weekly basis. By all means, if you're new to the channel or if this is the first time you're hearing this podcast, please subscribe. Tell your friends. Get them on over. You're missing so much awesomeness that occurs in the live chat. We love an active chat, and we love curating your questions while we're on the air. As always, you can stop by greenmountaindefense.com/training to see Kent's training calendar. If you happen to be up in his neck of the woods, by all means, certainly patronize Green Mountain Defense for your training needs. Not only is Kent putting on fantastic blocks of instruction, but hosting some fantastic instructors himself. Proof of point, we had Jedi this past weekend with the Modern Samurai Project. Tim Herron from Tim Herron Shooting is going to be coming out. It's a straight up hootenanny, folks, and you don't know what you're missing until you get out and train. Of course, you can subscribe not only to this podcast, but to our individual YouTube channels. I am the Lead Sling'N Ginger. Kent is Green Mountain Defense. You can find us not only on YouTube, but Facebook, Instagram, InstaSpace, Minute Rice, the whole 9 yards. We're there. Also, you can follow the Sling'N Lead podcast on Facebook. We have our own page there. You can always post your questions, comments. We love to hear from our fans and our listeners, all 10 or 12 of you. And we really appreciate it, guys. We really do. We certainly feel the love. And at the end of the day, we just want you to get out and get some quality training, get some quality information. And if nothing else, invoke some thoughts in your brain that might help you formulate some well-rounded questions on your own. We're happy to entertain any of those that, hell, maybe we haven't talked about and maybe we haven't thought of ourselves. So by all means, feel free to send those our way. You can also contact us at slingandleadpodcast@gmail.com. Kent and I both monitor that email inbox, and we'll be happy to have any conversations or questions with you there as well. Want to thank everybody who's been ordering knives from me so far. The first batch is nearing completion. I hope to have those starting to ship before I go on vacation at the end of this month. So if I've got your name on the list, I will be reaching back out to you to start orchestrating payment and shipping information and all that good stuff. But they're coming along beautifully, and man, are they sharp. I have almost no hair on the left side of my left leg because they're that sharp. Hey, man, you got to test your products.
I could just see those curly little red hairs flying off, glistening while you're
right.
Never mind.
Hey,
that got a little dark and sexual. I'm sorry.
I mean, let's just make this awkward. So Rodney, so chef knives. We're gonna have to do an episode on knives, bud.
Hell
chef,
yeah.
Rodney, to answer your question, the short way, yes. However, I do not know when exactly. Chef's knives are far more complicated and complex than the little pokey things or the bigger hunter knives or other quote unquote tactical knives that I might do. But I will be doing them. Just stay tuned. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook.
Show us the leg.
I'm not
show
us
the leg.
No, dude, we're doing a podcast where I'm sitting down I am wearing boxers. I am not going to show you my leg.
Fucking straight up Winnie the Pooh in this motherfucker. I love it.
It's a podcast. It's our podcast. We can do what we want. You should have agreed to the dress code when we started this.
We did. So I'm starting a phone bank along with Tim Kelly from Apache Solutions. And if we get 10 knife orders within the next 5 minutes, TJ will quit his day job. Call 1-800-352-5326 to order your knives today.
Stop. Stop. But anyway, yeah. Frank, you gotta hook me up with some of them battle briefs, man. But either way, folks, that really concludes our show. As always, we appreciate you all. Until we see each other again, God bless you. Take care of each other and get out and shoot.